Susan, if you could share Carl's story. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here today to tell the story of my son Carl and how his struggle with substance abuse use disorder affected our family. I want to express my sincere appreciation to the Addiction Policy Forum for hosting this week of events in Washington for families like mine, and to Congressman Guinta and Congresswoman Kuster for hosting the hearing today. My son Carlton Messenger died of a drug overdose on October 23rd, 2014, 8 days before his 25th birthday. We had less than a month's notice that Carl had been using heroin on and off for a year. We had to ask ourselves, how does a college-educated entrepreneur who just started his own eBay business and is going to school, taking chemistry and physics courses and getting A's and B's in them so he can apply to dental school, use heroin? It just blew our mind. When we found out that Carl was using heroin, we had a family meeting, and the four of us, his younger brother, my husband, myself, and Carl, decided he would go into detox the next day, and it would be a family secret. We would not share where he was. I think that was our biggest mistake right there. I made 6 phone calls to 6 different detox places in New Hampshire, and only one of them would take him, and it wasn't because they didn't have beds. It was because they didn't take our insurance, which I would have mortgaged the house. I would have paid whatever it was to get him clean, but they would not take him as a cash-paying customer. They said they had made deals with the insurance companies. They could only accept insurance patients, no cash-paying customers whatsoever. I finally found the Farnham Center in Manchester, New Hampshire that said they would take him whether the insurance paid or whether we paid with a credit card or wrote a check. He entered that facility the next day. He was there for 6 days, came out, was clean, sober, and looked great. When he was discharged, the doctor said to me, "You did a good job raising your son." And I thought to myself, yeah, why am I here then? Why is he here if I did such a good job? Carl led us to believe that he could remain sober without going into rehab. And as newbies dealing with someone who's on drugs, we wanted to believe him, so we did. But we set a caveat that we would random drug test him over the next 2 weeks, and if he came up dirty, he would go right into rehab. We drug tested him on October 21st, and he was clean. October 22nd, he woke up with an upper respiratory infection and went to see his primary care physician. What we didn't know is that his primary care physician never wrote in his file that Carl had just come out of detox and that had had extensive conversations with us over the 6-day period of time while Carl was in detox. Unfortunately, on that day, his doctor was not available, and they put him with a physician that was not familiar with Carl's health history. The doctor never asked, do you have a drug or alcohol addiction problem, before prescribing cherry tussin AC syrup. I picked up the script. I had no idea that it had codeine in it. The AC stands for codeine, apparently. Nothing on the bottle said that this is a codeine medication, this can cause drug-seeking behavior. The only label said, take every 6 hours as needed, and it can cause dizziness. I took the drug home, gave it to him. The next day, I didn't know that he was having cravings from the cough medicine. He stopped in my office. My husband and I own a dental office in Plymouth, New Hampshire. He stopped in, said he just completed some eBay business. He brought me lunch, gave me a hug and said, I love you, Mom. I'm going home. I don't feel well. Little did I know he was contacting his dealer to give him a final dose of what he thought was heroin. 7:15 that evening when I got home from work, I found him blue, cold, and dead in his bathroom, with the syringe still in his hand, with his thumb still on the plunger. What we came to find out is it was not heroin that was given to him, it was 100% fentanyl. It killed him instantly. This was the worst day of my life. He has a brother who is now 18 years old, And this is something we've struggled with for a long time, the last almost 2 years, Carl's death and what it has done to our family. We're still an intact family, but it is very, very difficult. My son will be graduating from New Hampton Preparatory School in 10 days, and knowing that his brother is not going to be there to participate in it just breaks my heart, and knows that it's going to be a difficult day, and that's not fair to my son. As a parent, I think you need to hear what my life is like now. We all talk about what happened with the addict and how they became addicted and what happened to them, but you need to hear what it's like to walk in my shoes. People say to me, be lucky you have the memories of Carl. Let me tell you, the memories hurt. They hurt because I know what I'm missing. People and therapists say you will learn a new normal. I won't accept that saying. Instead, I think of it as a new way of life. My life will never be normal again. Nothing is normal about bearing your child. Telling my parents and my son Adam was the second worst moment of my life, the first being the death of Carl. When I packed up Carl's room was not my reality, something no parent is ever prepared to handle. I go into what is now my office. Before it was Carl's bedroom. I smell some of his clothes that I've placed in a clear, large Ziploc bag. For an instant, it feels as if he's standing in the room. Then reality hits. All I'm left with is a Ziploc bag full of used clothes. I know I will only see him again when I die. And sometimes I wish for that to happen sooner rather than later. I can't describe the level of pain that I feel on a daily basis, but here's the best example of that pain. The pain is so bad that if I didn't have my son Adam to care for and watch grow up, I would have killed myself a long time ago. I know that my husband would survive, but I have Adam to think about and make sure he has a future. I will always carry Carl with me, as I have a few of his ashes in a velvet bag in my purse, and it always stays with me. I had an opportunity to talk to Hillary Clinton about Carl and the opiate addiction. My mission is to put a name and a face to this epidemic and this disease. I'm trying to humanize the process and the problem. If someone had told me before Carl was born that he would die 8 days shy of his 25th birthday, I wouldn't have had him. The pain of losing him is too great. Do you know what it's like to get a copy of your son's death certificate with his name on it, and it says accidental fentanyl overdose? Do you know what it's like to write your son's obituary and have to wait 3 months to write it because you can't get your head around that? Do you know what it's like to be told by your life insurance company, where you've paid the premiums on a regular basis, that they will not pay the life insurance claim due to it's a drug overdose? Something that is hidden deep within the pages of the caveats that insurance gives you is if it's a drug or alcohol-related death, they won't pay it. There are changes that I'd like to see happen. I would like to see 2 mandatory questions to be asked prior to writing a narcotics prescription. Asking whether or not they have drug abuse issues. Regardless of the answer, I think the doctor needs to take it a step further and let them know that this drug that they're giving them can cause a trigger to relapse, and let the patient decide in his mind whether or not this is an appropriate drug for him. All narcotic prescriptions must be labeled that it's narcotic, and drug-seeking behavior will be caused by taking it. All communications regarding a patient health history must be documented in the patient's chart. Currently, it is left up to the discretion of the physician as to whether or not information that was shared by another family member is important enough to put in the chart. Detox and rehab centers must take cash-paying customers. All insurance carriers must cover inpatient drug and detox and inpatient rehab. I'd like to see limit the number of opiate and narcotic pills that can be prescribed at any one time, and increase the penalty for selling fentanyl. I know I don't have time, but I just want to read a title of a story that my now 18-year-old son wrote 2 years ago after Carl died, and you can imagine what's in it. The title of it is called Now an Only Child. I thank you for listening to what I have to say today.